Well, good afternoon, area directors. Some of you outgoing, some have been area directors in the past. It's lovely to have you here, and I look forward to hearing your wisdom and experiences. And welcome also to those people out there watching us live on Facebook. I hope you enjoy the discussion and that you learn a lot about the importance of area directors to the district. They really are one of the jewels in the crown. So let's get underway. I've got 8 questions here that I'm going to ask various participants, and they'll each be timed. It'll be like a table topic. So they've got about 2 minutes to answer the question. So first up, Lisa. Lisa, would you tell us, what did you enjoy most about being an area director?
Thank you so much for the question, Barb. There were a number of things that I really enjoyed about being an area director. And let me just go back a little bit to when I wasn't well a few years ago. I created a quote, and that quote said, "Challenge equates to growth. Challenge me, I want to grow." And that is what I did as an area director. The networking with other Toastmasters, the formal and the informal education I received during my term, the lessons that I learned helped me become a better leader and a stronger person. And overall, it would be the personal growth that I've had as area director that I have found most enjoyable. When I was asked to be area director, I was extremely nervous and excited at the same time. Then there was the uncertainty of the unknown. What if I'm not good enough? And will I be listened to? There's so many reasons why people may be considering an area director role. For their leadership skills, or maybe because they've been encouraged to do the role. I think no matter what the reason, it is so important that all area directors undertake the High Performance Leadership Project, because this shapes you. It makes you grow. It helps to develop you as a person and as a leader. And also the training. Don't sit there and go, I don't need to go to training. The training is what really gives you the tools that you need to be a successful area director. I really enjoyed being part of the divisional growth and seeing people and clubs come out of their shell. It was that drive, and it was a highlight for me knowing that through my positive leadership and influence, that clubs were empowered to succeed. And I've also found that the personal growth that I received with being area director has given me skills that I can apply to my personal life and my career that I wouldn't have had access to otherwise. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, Barb.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Now, Terry, could we hear from you? What did you enjoy most about being area director?
Thanks, Barbara. One of the things that I really enjoyed about being an area director, particularly as I am still quite a new Toastmaster, this year marks my 3rd year of being a Toastmaster, and I took on this role last year, so I'm the current outgoing area director. What I realised as part of this, and what I enjoyed the most, was that it didn't matter that I was an actual member outside of the area, and I knew no one when I was going to anyone's meetings. So turning up there, and like Lisa, I was terrified about walking into this meeting, that I was greeted like an old friend by everyone. And it didn't matter that I had only been a Toastmaster for a few years. I was accepted, and anything that I had to share was taken very well by all of my clubs. So I was pleasantly surprised when thinking that, you know, an outsider going into a new place, that I was just amazed that I was accepted the way I was, and that everyone had accepted me to be able to put questions on me that they didn't know, so they trusted me, which was just amazing. And that was what I really enjoyed about my time. So thank you.
Well done, and we thank you for putting yourself forward when you've only been a Toastmaster for 2 years, but what a great experience I'm sure you had. And you're right about stepping into clubs. I've stepped into clubs overseas and it's just like being part of the family. It's wonderful, and the respect that area directors get from members is really special. So Molian. Molian, your question is, what challenges did you face as an area director in Papua New Guinea?
Thank you, Barbara. I was a fairly new member into Toastmasters when I got the area director role, and I felt that it was scary. It was really scary at first, but I thought if I could go and present a speech at the district conference and face hundreds of new Toastmasters on stage, then I can face Papua New Guineans as an area director. But the challenges I really found as soon as I stepped into that role and attended the training, came back, the area I was allocated were clubs that were outside of Port Moresby, outside of my actual location. And so the location of those clubs was a challenge. How to meet them, how to go there and meet them. We didn't know how to use Zoom meetings yet. The other thing I found challenging was organizing an event. That is something I have never done before. And I found that absolutely challenging for myself. But with all these challenges, I found that even though you start from scratch, and if you have really good friends within Toastmasters, both within PNG and outside, you will be able to get that role done. It's the benefits that come with it, the interaction with all the club officers and all that, dealing with different people, different leadership styles. Those were challenges that I found them to be really, they were challenging, but they built me up as a leader. So those were a few of the challenges or the main ones that I faced as an area director back in 2018, 2019. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you so much, Molian. And I think some of us down here on the mainland in Australia can't even imagine the challenges that you would have had to face during your role. But let's ask Anne, who also has had a large area to cover. And what challenges did you face as area director?
I enjoyed the whole experience. The challenges, I suppose, were surprising. Different clubs didn't need me as much as other clubs, if that makes sense. Some clubs seem to be very organised with their experienced members, and they have had, some of them have been in the role before, so they know the amount of involvement that's sort of absolutely necessary. And other clubs were just the opposite. They just were happy to have you as many times as you wanted to turn up. So yes, it was interesting, but I was happy to accommodate them either way.
Very good, thank you. And I am aware that Anne did the test. She contacted the clubs via Find a Club to see if the clubs responded to her query. Thanks, Anne. Now, Maury, what was the best lesson that you learnt as an area director?
Thanks, Barbara. Couldn't find the mute button. The best lesson I learned is something I should have already known, I suppose, that people are different, and hence clubs are different. When you go outside of your own club environment, I was surprised to find, even though we're all plugged into the same system, there was a little bit of difference in the way people perceive the way Toastmasters work. And so I sort of likened it to the jigsaws we've been doing at our place over this lockdown period. You know, you start with the edges, which is, I guess, the Toastmasters framework, and you start to work into the various images that you can see clearly. And then there's all the little pieces that come last in the jigsaw. And I guess they're all the individual people. So the best lesson I learned was that there's not one way to do it. And we have to accommodate these clubs that have got different cultures, if you want to put it that way. And when you're speaking to them, you have to meet people where they're at. And that might mean pathways. Some people are still wedded to the old traditional system and maybe not technologically advanced. And one of the common things I thought of was the difference in planning between clubs. Some do it on the run, some do it very neatly, some don't do it, some do it and put it in the bottom drawer. So these were all lessons in the way we do things differently. But there's nothing like being there, visiting clubs. The best lesson I learned was to get to know the people and the different personalities, and sometimes there's little power structures. But it is a great way to meet people across your district or across your area, and of course to stay in contact with them, whether that's by email or Facebook or a phone call. It's a great learning experience. The best lesson I learned was that people make a difference. They are different. Thanks, Barbara.
Well done, Maury. Thank you. Now, Helen, we'd like your view on that question. What was the best lesson that you learned?
Thank you, Barbara. The best thing that I learned was basically to believe in myself. Now, that took a number of elements, and the first was that I learnt to delegate. And some of you may say that I'm still learning to do this skill, but all jokes aside, I believe I now am able to decide who and if I need to delegate and whom to. And I ascertain what skills people have for the situation, and I try and slot people in to the best solution for them, or at least if they've got enthusiasm to take on that role. I also learned about those challenges. Like Marlene said, we all had challenges, and I've actually taken those challenges and looked at the lessons that I've learned from them, and I've actually turned some of those around to make positives out of the negatives. And I think this is the best thing you can do. And by doing this, I've learnt to believe in myself, trust my decisions, but still go forward with where I'm going. But yes, definitely I've learnt to more and more believe in myself and my judgment. Thank you, Barbara.
Barbara, you're on mute.
Yep, I thought I had that trick down pat. If you were area director again, what would you do differently, Jeff?
Barbara, that's a wonderful question to ask people at the end of their first term as area director. Just imagining that I might do this again right now is quite challenging, because 2019-20 area director has not been smooth sailing. We've had a whole range of different challenges around COVID-19, which have led to at my clubs and myself have had challenges personally and together. And so for me, what I think I would do differently is I would actually talk a lot more about what the goals are of the clubs and the individual members in those clubs. I think they would be the most important questions I would ask upon first visiting each club, is to try and draw that out. I talked a little bit to the clubs about my role, and I forgot to ask really good questions of the clubs about what they were there for. I made some assumptions and some of those were wrong. I also wasn't quite sure what I could leverage when it came to addressing COVID-19. And so what I found myself leveraging when I did eventually figure this out was trying to tap into people's goals and how can we help to continue to achieve those goals while we're social distancing in our clubs. And so I think goals is going to be the really big thing. Is if I can tap into those, everything else will fall into place.
Great answer. Thanks, Jeff. Now we have someone who is going to do a second term as area director. Sassy, would you like to talk to us about your experiences and what you may do differently?
Thank you, Barbara, for asking that question. Firstly, I wanted to tell you why I took area director role this year. I want to experience to test my influencing and motivating skills for wider audience outside the club. Practice the leadership skills theory. So first few months, I was learning the new terminology, reading area directors' reports, and how the theory works. So the next time, I'm lucky to do it once more. So what would I do differently this year? I will be firstly more creative, like Barbara, what you are doing right now. That gives me idea about being more creative, getting everyone involved, having area blogs, area meetings online, give more opportunity for people to get involved, deliver speeches face-to-face and online, maybe hybrid meeting. Secondly, be more courageous. Publish the area's directors' newsletters by asking opinions from the clubs. And better communicator by showing as a model, by empowering others, by following up more. This is probably the simplest and most neglected part of leadership, which I forgot last year. To follow up the right people to get the work done on time. So I think I learned a lot, and I would like to recognize a lot of people who helped me in this path last year. So this year, definitely I will remember this quote. It is better to lead from behind and put others front, especially when you celebrate victory and when nice things occur. You take the front line, then only there is a danger, then people will appreciate that leadership. So in conclusion, empowerment is my first thing in the list. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Sassy. There's some great words of wisdom there. Now, would you recommend the area director role to any other members and why? And Terry, this is your question.
Thank you, Barbara. I would 100% recommend it to any Toastmaster. I think that it is a stepping stone to really understand what Toastmasters is about, being in your comfy club that you go to every week or fortnight or how often you meet. That's one thing, but taking the step out and seeing what other clubs do and sharing your knowledge, as well as taking the knowledge of the members from other clubs that you wouldn't have already usually have received, is something that not only helps you as a person and as a leader, but also can help your club. And any way that we can help clubs attract new members or encourage members to meet their goals is an amazing thing, and it's something that I think everyone should consider getting involved in.
Well done. Thank you, Terry. And Anne, would you answer the same question, please? Would you recommend the area director role to other members and why?
It's a wonderful way to get to know more Toastmasters members. It's a terrific opportunity to expand your network, and it's just amazing how different clubs do Toastmastering differently. And there's all sorts of different clubs. One of our clubs is a dinner club where they actually meet in a restaurant. So there's some challenges there for a start. And one is a breakfast club. And, you know, they're just all different. But you are there as the link between the clubs and the division and area, and it's just amazing feeling to be able to be helpful. And I really enjoyed it. But it's just an easy way to get to meet a lot of other people, and they do treat you with great respect. The title of area director is well recognised as someone that's there to help the clubs.
Thank you, Anne. Yes, my experience was, it was my first experience of leadership outside the club, and yeah, you felt like they really treat you with respect, because it is a very important role in the organisation. Now, Helen, would you tell us how you personally benefited? What benefit did you get yourself out of the role?
Thank you, Barbara. That's an excellent question. Well, there's a few ways that I personally benefited. One was in confidence. 2 was how I built a network. And 3 was how I understood the importance of Toastmasters. So personally, I grew in confidence. In my own presentation skills, I was given so many opportunities in speaking roles and training that's now reflected in my work environment, where I feel comfortable delivering both face-to-face and online training sessions. As far as building a network, I built this network of friends, and it was not only the camaraderie of the area directors, but as you visited other clubs, you became friends with these members in Toastmasters. And my network just grew and grew. It was amazing. And it's such a great feeling to go to an event and have someone who you've met maybe once at another event say, "Hello, Helen, I'm so-and-so, you may remember me." And you're right, they do put you a little bit up on a pedestal. And it's just a great benefit to gain that friendship. They welcomed you, they remembered you, and, you just feel so empowered. And then about understanding the Toastmasters mission statements and all about Toastmasters, it was interesting to actually hear how Toastmasters works in a inverted pyramid, where, so if you turn that up the other way, the members are up the top and world headquarters at the base, and how the most important thing is about the members. So this was something that how I benefited gaining that knowledge. So, and I'm always learning. So thank you, Barbara. That was growth personally in confidence and network of friends and my understanding of Toastmasters.
Thank you so much, Helen. And I will just make a note there that Helen was voted the Area Director of the Year in her particular year. So she did an amazing job and impressed a lot of people. Now, Maury, Helen might be a hard act to follow, but how did you benefit personally from your experience?
Thanks, Barbara. I think Helen is a hard act to follow. Well done, Helen. My worry was like every other area director who's ever taken on the job, I think, was that I didn't know enough about the job. So I went and spoke to an experienced Toastmaster in our area called Dudley Cowan. People probably know Dudley. He's been in Toastmasters for a long time. And he said to me, I said, "What is the area director role?" He said, "You're like the library." And I thought, oh, geez, they're going to be in trouble this year, because I didn't feel like I knew enough about Toastmasters and about the clubs. But the big benefit I got out of it was that I surprised myself at how much I did know, and then how easy it was to go and find out information that was tricky. So my access to information, I was surprised how much info there is on the net, on the site, and via the contacts that you make through other clubs, through the experienced Toastmasters like Dudley and others who were only too willing to help. So that was the big personal benefit for me, that I learned a little bit about myself, calming my nerves and getting on with it. And I learned a little bit about the people as I was talking about before, the members. And of course, I learned a lot about Toastmasters and what a valuable thing it is that we all do part-time, volunteer basis. Why do people go and organise? Why does Barbara take on the role that she's taking on next year and organise this sort of training material? It's because it benefits others. And one of the big personal benefits, the kick I got out of it was seeing people come along, seeing young guys in particular at our club in our area that probably wouldn't be as social as they are now without Toastmasters input, and employable, I might say as well. So they're great role models in themselves, and that was the big personal benefit for me, I have to say.
That's
Thank you.
great. Thanks, Maury. And it's interesting, the bit about being the library. I remember asking my mentor a couple of questions when I was area director, and she said to me, Barbara, it's in the manual. You get that manual out and you read it from cover to cover. So for all those incoming area directors, you get that manual out and start reading. Now, the next question. On average, how much time did you devote to your area director responsibilities each week? And Lisa, your question first.
Thank you, Barbara. I wouldn't really say this is a average per week kind of a role, because from July to at least December, you're going to be busy. There's no hiding from that. You are going to be busy. There is a full weekend of training, which is so worth your time. And if anyone says, don't worry about the training, don't listen to them. That is where you get your tools. That is where you get your initial networking from. And that is where you get your abilities to be able to be a successful area director. It's often where you get your judges as well for your area contest. You need to take time for your mentor. So to be able to actually catch up with them, because they will also help you to grow. There will be the relationship building with your clubs. And if you have 6 clubs in your area, maybe it's up to 6 hours a week for the first few weeks to get to know them, conducting club officer inductions if they ask you to. Then yes, there is your club visits. And depending on how long they meet, it's 1 or 2 hours per club. The planning and the organising of your area conference, I would say at least a couple of hours a week with phone calls, emails, venues, that type of thing. But don't think you have to do it alone. That is what your area council is for, and that is what Toastmasters is for. Reach out and ask for help. Christmas, you get a bit of a breather. And then the next year, between March and May, you've got your round 2 visits. I encourage every area director to touch base with their club presidents every couple of weeks minimum by phone, not just an email. Check in with them, their club goals and how they're going personally and also with their clubs. Do they need your assistance in any way? It is the relationship that you have with your clubs that is so important. The passion you impart, the commitment you have as their leader will turn the drive into successful clubs. And a successful club means successful and happy members. And at the end of the day, it's all about the members. Thanks.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful answer, Lisa. And Jeff, would you like to answer the same question? How much time did you devote on average per week?
Barbara, you said that this is like table topics. And usually at my club, after an answer like Lisa's, I would completely change the topic at this point. But I think I probably need to answer the question. And I'd like to come at it from a different angle. I think each of us has to figure out who we are as an area director. And so some of you will be great list makers and maybe even great time managers. And I think you could do this very efficiently if you are. Some of you will have a lot of time or a fair bit of time available. I know the person that I've been talking to, one of the people I was talking about the role taking on the role that I have, was someone who was giving up a really large role in another organisation in a voluntary role, and so had decided this was a good way to use this time that they would have. Sometimes people are retired. Sometimes people are underemployed in terms of their work situation, and so they do have a bit more time. Another angle to ask the question about is, are you a doer or are you a delegator? And I know a number of these area directors speaking to you today have talked about the importance of being a delegator. I think if you're a doer, you could fill your weeks very easily, particularly pre-conference, around the training times, around your club visits, because it's not just the visit, it's also getting there, getting home, and doing some work that you need to do around the club visit. And finally, I think you need to think about what's going on in your local area. So there are different numbers of clubs and there are different distances for clubs. I know for Mollyann and for our area director in Northern Territory, there are some very long distances. Luckily, we're now a little bit more Zoom sophisticated across many, many clubs. And so there will probably be opportunities to be more efficient in your travel as well. I just hope that you're able to figure out how to make this work for you as you take on this journey.
Thank you, Jeff. Now, Mollyann, how has your understanding of the big picture of Toastmasters changed or improved since you were area director? And for that matter, Mollyann has also been a division director. So just how do you understand the bigger picture now?
Thank you, Barbara. That's a very interesting question, especially when you take on a leadership role in Toastmasters, and you get told, you have a manual, go and read it. And you look at the manual and you're going, oh my goodness, there's like more than 100 pages here. How long is this going to take me with my job and other things, and not knowing the role as you step into it? But that's what I did. Believe it or not, I read and I read and I read and I read and I read some more. And then I got the division director's role, and I read some more. And that's how I started understanding the setup of Toastmasters, people's roles in there, how we all support each other. And a lot of these roles, everything is in the manual, but it's also very important for us to support each other. And that is where I learned the biggest challenge here in PNG division was the support we gave to each other. I had to reach out to people like Barbara and Leslie Storkey and Christine Lennon, very supportive, and also the other area directors and division directors around the world that you get to know, the networking. The support that is given is very important to help you to overcome the challenges that you face in Toastmasters. And so that's how I faced the challenges in these roles that I took on board. And becoming a Toastmaster, a better Toastmaster, was to actually read a lot. That is, by default, but you need to build your network. You really need to build your network so that you get that support, especially if it's not around you, you can reach out. So thank you, Barbara. That's what I learned in my roles.
Excellent. Thank you, Mollyann. And Sassy, how is your understanding of the big picture of Toastmasters changed or improved?
Thank you, Barbara. When I joined as an area director, I thought area director is our only role is just a link to club and division and districts. I wasn't sure how public speaking and leadership are connected. It was intimidating to me to start the conversation, go to club, and I thought how it links to the leadership really. But it changed my perspective on leadership path. Now I got the wider picture of leadership. What sort of leadership we see normally at a workplace? You can see a lot of people call themselves as top leaders, being manipulative, being unappreciative for other teams' work, finding mistakes of others, not helping our own team members to grow, making fun of others when they are not in that meeting, etc., etc. But see, this is all the leadership we are seeing. But I learned real leaders who has the courage, passion, humility to empower others exist only in Toastmasters. Believe me, making others great is the rewarding experience I learned from other experienced Toastmasters. And that we can see this phenomena only in Toastmasters. And this is how my leadership bigger picture I have seen in the practical world. I saw the journey of the good leaders going to great leaders. And I'm really proud that I am also the part of that journey. And how that Toastmasters leadership concept comes into the picture of my role and going that with other experienced members. I am really glad that I am one of that part of to become a honest, great leader to help the wider community to create more in the chain. Thank you, Barbara, for asking that question.
Thank you very much, Sassy. You know, every one of you has contributed so much wisdom and knowledge to this afternoon's discussion. It's just amazing. And I hope that the viewers out there, people who are viewing today with us or who will view the recording, will take on board that wisdom and knowledge and experience and consider at some time, if you've not been an area director, put it on your bucket list of things to do. It is an amazing role and it's a very important role. If you think back to the history of Toastmasters, Toastmasters has been around for almost 100 years. If we ask ourselves why has Toastmasters lasted the distance? Toastmasters has lasted the distance because it exists to serve its members. The members are the most important element of Toastmasters. If the members don't get what they need, what they want, if there were no members, there would be no Toastmasters. And the area director role is the first role in the leadership journey, if that's the way that you'd like to go. It's a conduit between the members and further leadership. And as someone said, it's an upside down triangle. Poor old Mike was at the bottom when he was international director and he had all that responsibility on his shoulders. So you as area directors would have the responsibility, but also the nurturing and support to give members the feeling and belief and knowledge that they are the most important part of Toastmasters. And I congratulate every one of you on the responses that you've given today and the job that you've done as area directors. You are all crown jewels in the District 69 Toastmasters family, and I thank you sincerely. Now, we've finished the actual panel discussion, and I just wondered, does anyone want to make any closing comments before we finish the live stream? No one?
This is Toastmasters, Barbara. We all want to make some closing comments, but we're far too polite to jump in.
Right.
I just want to say, have a go. Try it out. You'll be amazed at how many people there are supporting you and encouraging you and nurturing you.
Well done, Jeff. Maury?
I was just going to make a comment about the training, Barbara. I meant to say it earlier, but that was one of the sources of great information. And it wasn't just about Toastmaster stuff, it was about people and how to get along in teams. And it was a great function to attend because it was valuable stuff.
Yeah, the training this year, because of circumstances, or the first round, is going to be online, and there is information coming out as we speak virtually about that. Yes, Marlian?
I think as one that's going, as leader going out for the year, and for the incoming ones who are probably watching at the moment, I'd like to just say, especially for the division, PNG division, that you have the support. Don't feel scared to take up the role. It is very scary, trust me. I know the feeling, but when you're coming in, don't think that you're on your own. That's what I want to say. Reach out. I'm here. We're a phone call away or a Zoom meeting away, and we're here to support. Please reach out. Don't feel scared to reach out. Thank you.
Well done, Marlian. Thank you. Yes, Helen?
One little philosophy I'd like to put forward is that you'll get as much out of your role as you put into it. When Lisa was talking about the number of hours that you put in, I know I couldn't quantify how many hours I actually put into Toastmasters, but I enjoy it and I get a lot out of it. So it's whatever you give, you receive back, and just make the most of it. Take the challenge. Dare to be challenged.
Yeah. Lisa?
I think the biggest thing for me is just understanding and knowing that you're not alone. You may feel at times that this struggle is like a burden. Well, don't struggle alone. Reach out to past area directors, reach out to a mentor. It's really important that you have a good mentor. And by really working together, we can make Toastmasters as strong as what we want it to be. We can make it as familiar as McDonald's, as successful as Microsoft, and as alluring as a Ferrero Rocher.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Were there any other comments before we wind up?
One last comment.
Yes.
I have seen people saying, I do not have time, but believe me, this is worth spending your time. Once you're passionate, you don't really know how much time you put it. But the biggest thing is, once you learn a skill, it's very difficult to unlearn. That skills will be in your blood always. So it is worth to put the time in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to all the people out there watching, I don't know who's watching us just at the moment or who's going to watch it afterwards when it's been taped. But thank you so much for taking the time to sit in and listen to these wonderful people about their experience and their wisdom. And I can assure you that Area Director is a wonderful experience. So if you've been contemplating the role, take the wisdom and experience from these people and just go for it. Thank you so much to everyone, the participants and the viewers out there. I hope this has been of value to you.